Hitman is one of my favorite gaming franchises, and recently I've been replaying it a bunch, so I figured might as well showcase and highlight some of my favorite levels in each game, or rather, one favorite level in each game, if I can pick a favorite, that is. And just to preface, this isn't like an in-depth critique or anything like that. I mostly just want to rave and gush about my favorite levels in these games and what, in my very subjective opinion, makes them great. And where can we start but right at the start? Hitman Codename 47, released in the year 2000. IO Interactive originally wanted to make a fantasy MMO, but instead decided to build up more experience with a run-and-gun shooter first, which over time morphed into more of a tactical shooter, and eventually into the stealth puzzle game that we know today. This game is all humble beginnings. It's got jank, but it's got style. At least mostly thanks to Jesper Kid's music, which goes way too hard. And the fact that this screen says, "Hi man," in the bottom left corner. I think it's meant to be Hitman with the line going through it, but whatever. It makes it seem like it's Hi-Fi Man or something. It's just cool. I just wanted to point that out. My favorite map in this game is easily
Budapest and the Thermal Bath Hotel. What a classy looking place. And well guarded too. It's time to look sharp and concentrate. A good thing I brought my suit.
Yeah, I'm playing with tank controls. It's the only way to play this game. Once you understand that this one in particular is a quirky point-and-click adventure game, I find that it goes down a lot easier. The general concept of the level is quite simple. You get two terrorist brothers, Fritz and Franz Fuchs, who want to get the hotel on the Fritz, haha. One of them staying under a fake name, Mr. Wolf. They're planning to blow up the hotel during a UF convention there, and we are here to kill France and disarm and carry the bomb out of the hotel, and in our paths lay various hazards like guards and metal detectors.
I made a reservation for 2 days.
And what was the name, please?
Mr. Tobias Reaper.
We have a nice room for you, Mr. Ripper. Could you please stand here?
Okay. Looks like Mr. Wolf is in room 202.
If you want me to check your mail, just hand me over your room key, okay?
I'll keep that in mind.
So why is this level great? Well, for starters, the vibes, the textures, the look. It somehow sells the illusion of the detailing in the carpets and the walls, the distant noise of the bellboy vacuuming. It really looks and feels and sounds like a hotel. Just being here, it feels like I've been in a hotel that's exactly like this. I also think this level does something that becomes a staple of Hitman levels that appeal to me in particular, and that is having a central location with a safe social space that Agent 47 can observe, explore, unlike levels where, for instance, you're trespassing right out of the gate, right? For example, you can notice the master key left in the door by the vacuuming bellboy roaming around, or bump into this guard.
What do you want?
Can I see Mr. Wolf?
Not without an appointment.
Okay, some other time then.
In front of room 202, which is a cool way of making the target's room stand out, in case you forgot or didn't pay attention to the reception cutscene. Also, these are all pretty cool animations for a game from 2000. While choppy, they feel kind of natural and expressive, almost like rotoscoping or something in animation, if you've ever seen that. While in this game, we can't hide bodies, though we can drag them around, like the target here, to experience one of the earliest examples of ragdoll physics in a video game, we can cleverly use the do not disturb sign we picked up on the table earlier and put that on the door outside to make sure nobody enters. It's simple and clever, and it makes sense to have one of those in a hotel room lying about. It just feels like immersive and not at all abstract in the way that older games can be. I think that firmly puts it in the same vein, if not the same kind of genre, as the games like Deus Ex and Thief and all sorts of these quote-unquote immersive sims. However, after we exit the room in what would become a Hitman staple, traversing the hotels with guns isn't so easy. The metal detectors we saw on our way in that posed no threat to us because we didn't carry any dangerous items would now immediately give us away, so much like the pat-downs you get in future games like Blood Money and the World of Assassination. So we're forced to drop off our guns and think on our feet instead. Obviously, as a kid, I probably brought all the guns with me into the hotel in the first place and immediately got caught, but you know, you live and learn. So then we proceed to the hotel swimming pool downstairs where Franz's brother Fritz, the dentist, is, and hence the key to the x-ray room where the bomb is.
I'm sorry, sir, but you cannot enter in those clothes. Please change in the last booth. There are clothes in the booth.
We do as instructed by this fella, and in a feature exclusive to Codename 47, you may notice that when we change to swimwear, all our items are also gone. They are in our clothes, and this is kind of a cool, again, very immersive design choice that forces us to think with the environment rather than purely with the tools we have. And after briefly exploring the pool, Fritz makes an appearance. We follow him to the sauna, listening to the smooth synth keys, courtesy of Jesper Kid as we do. We open the valve once he walks in, which somehow makes it overheat.
Hey!
I don't know if that's realistic or if that's how a sauna works. I've never really understood it, but then again, I'm not a sauna specialist. I can tell you only this. I think it's pretty cool, especially for this game. Even though for a lot of these early games, the silent or stealthy kills are just shoot somebody with a gun and get away with it. Unlike the later games, which have crazy, accidental kills. So anyway, we grab the key and head out. On our way, we can also talk to this lady.
This is a woman's dressing room, so obviously you cannot enter with your present sex. But Chef has meat cleaver that could fix your problem.
The way she says it makes it sound like it is a gameplay mechanic. It is something you can do. I don't know, I suppose. If that is, then I've never found it. But I'm pretty sure it's just meant to be a little bit of crass humor. I must say, I really like the little detail of the guy blocking your way when you try to leave in the swimwear. I also like how the guy automatically teleports to the right door he should be blocking.
I'm sorry, sir, but the hotel has a strict rule that says its guests must be dressed when walking around. I believe your clothes are in the last booth. Please change.
After heading upstairs on the west wing of the hotel now, the flower shop is right there and we can speak to the shopkeep. He has a fun secret I don't want to spoil, but I also want to say that in this mission, it's probably the most unhelpful thing that an NPC could give us. Hey asshole, give us a lockpick or something instead. There's also this living room type place, conference room maybe, bar and casino. For an early Hitman game, the size and scale of this location is very impressive. Every room and corridor has its own purpose that makes sense. And again, none of this feels very abstract in the way that you kind of expect from older games like this. Half-Life obviously started the sort of real space, real place type of first-person games on PC and games in general. Before that, oftentimes you end up with something like Doom where it's more of a level, or even worse, something like Wolfenstein 3D or something like that, where it's clearly just a maze. Like, it's not a location that could possibly exist anywhere but, like, in a video game. But this isn't like that at all. It feels very legitimate and real. For the last section of the level, we can take the elevator up to the 3rd floor and use the fire exit to get out onto the roof. After a brief look around, we find an open window in the east wing and climb in there. Garrett the guard in our way and go into the x-ray room through the dentist's office and head back to the hotel lobby the way we came. What awaits us is one final challenge. We cannot leave that way that we came in, since there's a metal detector there that would surely pick up the bomb. So instead, we go to the restaurant kitchen and exit out the back door. I guess since we're a VIP bodyguard, we're allowed in there. So it's a pretty fun multi-stage puzzles. So what are some other approaches you can do Well, there aren't any really, besides obviously you could strangle friends or shoot as guards or do any of that sort of thing, but there's not a particularly other solution to the puzzle. There are other ways to traverse the hotel, but not much besides that. You can't even drown the dentist guy, unlike the montage in Hitman 2016 suggests you could do. That feature wasn't added until this level was remade in the game Hitman Contracts, but we're not there yet. See, the thing with Codename 47 is there's often not a lot of freedom of approaches. But with that in mind, this is my favorite of these sorts of puzzles, and that's that really. Level's not annoyingly huge, it's well made, it doesn't have annoying bits of randomness, it's not boring, and the things you do aren't too weird to figure out to the point where you absolutely need like a strategy guide. However, this is thankfully not where the franchise ended. 2 years later, Agent 47 would visit the snowy streets of St. Petersburg, a shitty sewer section, and a bunch of nonsense Japan levels that suck, and in a game that would be a lot more complex and a lot more interesting than this one. Hitman 2: Silent Assassin, not to be confused with the other Hitman 2. This game is something I remember very fondly playing as a youth. I thought I remember really liking the vibe of it and everything, but replaying it now, damn, this game is not my favorite by far. It's just aged like absolute milk. While it is certainly a step up from the first in terms of complexity, the game has some of the most annoying mechanics one could conjure up. Disguises are useless. You can't run or that alerts guards. You can't stand next to guards or that alerts guards. Sometimes guards are just alerted because fuck you. Through walls, through quantum entanglement, it don't matter. And when the guards are alert, the entire map will instantly open fire at you. Again, sometimes through walls. And despite the game having multiple approaches to various challenges and a lot of levels, the levels themselves range from a few good ones that are halfway decent to the vast majority that would be a nightmare like that level in another game, in any other game. It keeps you from replaying it. There is in fact a literal sewer maze right after the first two missions, Anathema and St. Petersburg Stakeout respectively, that are actually pretty good. I consider both of those runners up for the best. But the sewer section isn't even where the mission takes place. There's not even NPCs down there. It just sucks. It's like the Snow Valley in Japan that follows the mission I'm about to talk about. That said though, if I had to think of one example of a level from this game that does actually work, and I would say works well, and introduces something interesting and important to the Hitman franchise going forward, it would be Invitation to a Party. Now, mind you, this level has some really annoying randomness to it with the office thing, but in this instance I don't mind it too much, unlike some of the other instances of randomness, like in Codename 47 there's the Chinatown level with the safe. Anyway, the premise of the level is quite simple. I'll let Diana explain.
47, this is Agency, Diana speaking. Your assignment is to eliminate Vladimir Zupikov, the 4th general from the arms deal. He has defected to the German embassy and will be requesting asylum in Germany. It is vital for our client that his suitcase is retrieved. It contains a guidance system the general probably will try and peddle to the highest bidder in the West. There is a party tonight at the embassy, and loads of glitterati and socialites, a perfect cover for your assignment. So wear a tux. Unfortunately, we couldn't provide an invitation. And remember, security is ultra tight, so bringing any sorts of weapons in from the outside is impossible. There's more. The Russians are furious about the prospect of a former general defecting to a NATO country. We have surveillance recordings of a Spetsnaz agent receiving an invitation to this party. Check the video to identify this agent. We also recorded the general arriving at the embassy. See to it that you get that briefcase. It's standard ICA practice. We don't want problems with competitors, 47. I repeat, take out the general and get the suitcase. Good luck, 47.
Actually, good voice acting aside, and the fact that the briefings are actually voiced this time around, the level starts you off on a boat. And after walking up the stairs, the first thing you see is a waiter on a break. A way in. Options! That's the key to this game. For a stealthier approach, however, it's worth exploring the area first, and what you'll find is that the area is huge. not very populated, mind you, but it really has that distinct feeling of one central location, a large surrounding area that we would come to know and love in later installments. And just like Budapest in Codename 47, the vibes here are immaculate. And a lot of that, I think, is thanks to Jesper Kid's amazing music and also the snow. Something about those old games and the snow levels, like, man, they just knew what snow was back then in a way we just don't always anymore. I mean, the God of War snow looks pretty good. Skyrim has cool snowy environments. Something about it, though, just hits right, hits the spot, Eventually, if you explore the level, you stumble on an ICA pickup, which provides poison, a gun, and a knife. It's a cool way to introduce you and point you towards the various options that maybe the level designers intended. I do think this level would be a lot better if you did actually just have an invite to the party or something. It's even called Invitation to a Party. I think what makes Codename 47, the Budapest level at least, and many other Hitman levels work so well is when you have that social safe space to start with, like I mentioned before. You can scope out the area, follow NPCs around, decide what is going on, and plan on your feet. But I digress. We find a little side path in this level and follow it to a locked gate. The coast is clear. We are stopped by a guard inside. We use the sneak mode and contemplate our life choices while Agent 47 moves superhuman levels of slow. And through the magic of safe scumming, we can make it past the guard in less than 7 hours or so. To a room that has a waiter disguise, only to bump into a few more guards on the way, forcing us to, again, walk slowly past them while looking away and dreadfully hoping that the RNGesus loves us today. Also, I have to say that alert meter, I get what they were going for. I guess it looks kind of like a police siren or like an alarm or something, but it is incomprehensible. I feel like at a glance, especially with the UI scaling of today, which doesn't help it, I think it's just really hard to pinpoint exactly how bad it is. Like Blood Bunny fixed that, made a different alert meter, and obviously in modern games you have the little like yellow detection bars and whatnot that point towards the enemy as well. But yeah, this one is it's just the worst. I feel like I have seen it do very strange shit. Besides, oftentimes you'll get spotted before the alert meter actually like kicks in, let's say. So it'll just go straight to, being red and pulsating fast in that instance. We duck into this storage room to avoid any more face-to-face time with the itchy trigger finger NPCs and make our way into the kitchen, where the chef clearly misunderstood his job description and instead of cooking sauce has been hitting the sauce and is thus speaking gibberish. Some NPCs in like St. Petersburg that seem to speak total gibberish, but then there are clearly other NPCs that speak crystal clear Russian. So why are some of them speaking gibberish? Who knows? We grab a champagne glass and head on out. Obviously, you probably know what we're going to do at this point. We put some poison in the glass, which to do that is kind of an adventure game holdover. You just select both items at once. There's no dedicated inventory menu, unfortunately, for like combining two items or something like that. I think that would have been pretty cool to see. Even to this day, I think that would be an interesting element to explore in a game. But for what it's worth, this works. Once you know how to do it, you figure it out. The item combinations tend to all be sensible in this game, so at least there's that. And at last, we make our way to the ballroom. And yeah, it's a bit underwhelming, isn't it? It's a bit empty compared to modern Hitman games. The NPC count isn't too high in this one, but I still find it lovingly detailed. I love the snow falling outside the window and the actual piano melody. The whole thing feels kind of homely, as it should. We get a notification that the ambassador has opened the safe. From this, we can infer that the exchange between the general and the ambassador already took place. The one bit of the level that's a real love it or hate it is randomness. There are 4 offices on the map, 2 downstairs and 2 upstairs, and each has a safe. And at mission start, a random one is picked by the ambassador to go to. Some people love the freelancer mode in modern Hitman. They love these sort of roguelike elements. They love the randomness. Personally, I'm not a fan of it unless it is sort of player induced and dynamic. Like if you block an NPC or distract them and they switch routines or something. Because I do think the joy of these games games a lot is in the planning and the execution, going from sort of sloppy to noticing little details that you figure into a solution of a puzzle that you build in your head through environmental observation and, moving that brain cog a little bit. But in this case, it's not too bad. You can just look at the white VIP icon and see where he goes. It's fairly straightforward to figure out where the ambassador is. The only thing is I find that the mission goes substantially easier if you have him go to an office on the lower floors rather than on the upper ones, because it can be a bit of a pain to get up there with the guards standing in the reception by the main stairwell. You can get a side stairs to get up there, and yeah, it is just kind of a pain. But for us, luckily, the guy is downstairs. We cannot open the safe without the combination from the ambassador. Now, one could obviously kill the ambassador and grab it that way. In fact, he gets pretty isolated in the office. But I would suggest waiting and seeing if the opportunity will present itself. Shortly after the general walks into the ball, he stays a short while and begins to make an exit. We approach and he's delighted.
Oh, drinks. Even more wunderbar.
I like his line. Afterwards, we make a swift exit. Now, if you follow him to his room, you could actually notice that he has a little maid or something in his office that he seems to enjoy the company of. And you could use anesthetic on her or something like that to knock her out, move her out the way, and then ambush the general in his room without anyone noticing. Instead, we poisoned him through the champagne. The general runs into the bathroom, throwing up and complaining about German champagne. While the ambassador has returned to the ballroom and is now being hustled by the Spetsnaz agent, as a notification tells us. These little notifications in the bottom corner, I feel like they're kind of a lazy design choice, but at the same time, I do understand why they did it. And unlike, mission stories, they don't necessarily tell you what to do, but they do kind of give you little hints, because if you never found any of this, let's say you were having real trouble with this level, and you just made your way inside, and you see this ambassador's being held up by the Spetsnaz agent, and you pay attention to the briefing, you can kind of understand what is happening, that it might be worth following them. So follow them, we should. We avoid panicking at the combat music suddenly kicking in, and instead duck into the room immediately behind and observe through the keyhole. Hearing the safe click, we prepare. The safe has been opened and the ambassador has been killed by the Spetsnaz agent, which means since the ambassador isn't a target, if we killed him normally, we'd get a little penalty. In this case, not so much. On the other hand, the Spetsnaz agent is a target, an optional one, but nonetheless. Slowly, we leave the area out the front door with the suitcase and go back the way we came. So what makes this level good? I know this was a pretty detailed walkthrough, but it was kind of important so I could comment on the things in the level. Well, I think the social gathering, environmental observation, tight NPC routines, kind of a clockwork mechanism that present opportunities, good, tense atmosphere, but nothing that feels too video gamey in a sense. It feels more like, it has a sense of place, once again, it's not very abstract. Exciting action with the Spetsnaz agent, dependent on good timing and a multitude of approaches. First time I did it, even on replaying, I kind of forgot about this element. I seem to remember just taking out the Spetsnaz guy, like from a window or something. It's a good level, ma'am. I do get that there aren't that many approaches in this case. Like, you do have some. You could grab the suitcase before and have the confrontation with the Spetsnaz agent yourself. You could wait for him to take it and then, mug him later. But still, nonetheless, I do think that it's fun to sort of observe and figure it out in the way that things can unfold, and where you throw the wrench into the clockwork mechanism of the level sort of really alters what the outcome is going to be. And I think that's the sort of basic formula for a good Hitman level, in a very down to the very bare bones basics that still carries on to this day. And again, this is one of the few levels in this game that I think it's very fun to figure out a silent assassin approach, unlike others that require almost a little bit too much trial and repetition, where you just have some very obnoxious like obstacles, and the fact that the AI and the whole game is so inconsistent really just kind of puts a damper on it all. And the fact that the maps are often so huge, and it all incentivizes save scumming in a lot of ways. And I do find that the save scumming is also disincentivized by the fact you only have 7 saves. So doing a level for the first time or doing a level you don't remember is likely going to have you do 7 saves and then realize you have half the level still left. It truly sucks. And no, you can't get those saves back. It's 7 saves per level, not like 7 save slots. So even if you overwrite a previous save, that still counts as a save. So anyway, Agent 47 is on a boat, and he prepares for the game to go nosedive off a cliff in terms of quality. And we move on to the next game.
With plenty of money and some serious guns.
You know, it's kind of crazy that these games all came out 2 years later after one another, because Hitman Contracts came out 2 years later again in 2004, with a darker, moodier tone, taking place almost entirely in a flashback after Agent 47 is injured on a mission. A great justification for featuring remakes of some levels from Codename 47. Naturally, then, you might think that the Budapest Hotel I enjoyed so much in Codename 47, remade with newer mechanics, would be a natural pick for my favorite level. And I thought so too, but frankly, I'm just not that much of a fan of it. First of all, I don't like the rainy vibe. It doesn't suit this level. I liked how it was a clear, well, gray sky in the original. It doesn't work. It doesn't feel like you're just going to a hotel. It feels too overly dramatic somehow. I do like that they made both Fuchs brothers targets, and you kind of had to kill the dentist anyway in the original, so it just makes sense. I don't like how Agent 47 no longer enters as Tobias Reaper, but instead mugs an ID off some guy in an alleyway. I don't like how the whole hotel is super dark now for some reason, how the book and the other textures all look worse than the original, and the fact that the whole thing just feels less like a hotel, the various random blocked off sections.
I'd like to see Mr. Wolf.
You got an appointment?
We're old friends.
Aha. Then you won't have no trouble getting an appointment.
I do like this cutscene with the munching-sounding fella, and the fact that you can pose as a bellboy.
Clean towels for Mr. Wolf.
You got 10 seconds.
I like the fact that they're not kidding and do actually kick you out after a while.
And don't let me see you around here again.
I don't like how you can no longer see the bellboy leave the master key in the door. So if you don't play the original, you have no idea it's there. I don't like how you can no longer enter the pool area of the hotel. Why is it closed exactly? I at least, if there is some explanation of it in the level, I haven't found it. It feels like it's done just to be different to the original, which is flimsy justification to say the least, because who played the Codename 47 game, really? That game came out to middling reviews as it was, and from a Danish obscure developer at the time. I do like how you can drown the dentist now, but I must say on the whole, I don't like the version of this level, and I think that despite the many new things you can do in it, it's kind of needlessly filled with busy work traversing the hotel that doesn't really make any sense, and I think I prefer the original. Another contender is Me King's Party, which is kind of a Reddit favorite from a peruse for the sheer dark vibe of it. I personally think it's completely the wrong tone for Hitman. It reminds me of the two Nazi ladies from Return to Castle Wolfenstein, where it's obviously just ridiculous, but it also reminds me of the Ninja Nun assassins from this franchise. They are such a try-hard attempt to have something cool and unique that it comes across as, in my opinion, ultimately very cringe. I know Gen Alpha loves the 2000s, but to me, the mid-2000s specifically, kind of brown, super serious action movie that I think this is trying to emulate, will always be a sign of a rather creatively dead time, save for very few standouts. So what, don't I like any levels? No, there is one level in Contracts that, in my opinion, stands above the rest, above probably all the Hitman levels so far, and that is the English Manor Rescue and Double Assassination that is Bellingford Manor, a certified home invasion classic. We start off once again on a boat. The first thing we see is some guards in the courtyard. Sensing a pattern, away inside. We could wait for them to split and then strike, or sneak by, like a shadow in the corner of an eye through the bushes under the cover of the foggy night. Very vibey, very atmospheric. We make our way through the gate and through this tennis court, and suddenly the mansion comes into view, and we get closer and closer and start to see the target. Eventually, we manage to make our way into the mansion, carefully dodging the guards on the way. We grab the cyanide on the dresser and head out of the bedroom. But our first obstacle is that the shower is busy. Although the conspicuous mirror grabs our attention. Or, you just went in there, killed her, and pressed E in every corner of the room like you're playing a Doom level and looking for secrets. But to get rid of her without killing her, we head down towards the boiler room on the ground floor. See, again, there are lots of options and stuff like that.
Who's there?
I also like how this guard actually hears you. It was kind of a cool close encounter. I was like standing still. I had to reload a few times because boy did he spot me a couple times. We turn off the water heater in the basement and go back inside. Figures the mirror is a hidden passage that leads straight to the bedroom. I like the little environmental storytelling. I guess he uses that to like spy on that lady or whatever. He is getting up, so we hide, wait patiently. Soon returns, take a sip of his bedside milk, and goes to bed. I like this observation thing that like we learn so many things right away that he leaves, giving us the option of like say killing or tranking or something or anesthetic the lady. And then, wait for him, camp for him, or obviously we could poison the milk. Or we could wait until he falls asleep, use the sneak mode so we don't wake anybody up, and now is our time to strike. Yeah, pillow suffocation death. Somehow this doesn't wake up his wife, though. Oh, and yeah, like I said, naturally you can also poison his drink in traditional Hitman fashion, but for my taste in this level, poison is best used elsewhere. I find that this level is one of the few instances in which the dark atmosphere of Contracts really works well. And the music fits really well too, going from sneaky and sort of like lots of weird effects in there to distorted. It's like a horror movie or something, but you're the horror, you're the threat. There's another hidden passageway by the bookcase, this time to the attic. If you take a brief detour and explore the house some more, you can find a gas can or something in the cellar. You can actually drop it down the chimney, cause an explosion, which will kill the target and several others. Though this tends to alert them, and then you'll have to fight the hounds and all of them. I kind of don't mind the gunplay in this game. This and Silent Assassin reminds me of GoldenEye a lot, in the way the bullets just have this really slow travel time and you can always see them like they're old tracers or something. It's fun. But instead, you can also keep going through the passageway. Floor down is a bedroom of one of the hunting party members. It's kind of easy to wake him up, but if you sneak through, you can take his disguise without, killing anybody. And this is the best disguise in this level. Speaking of the disguise, the hierarchy in this level is something kind of new and quite nice. The exterior guards aren't allowed in all areas of the house. Interior guards are allowed most anywhere, but not everywhere. Stable attendants are only allowed in the stables, but the horses will neigh out if you go in the stables as anyone else. While there is clearly one superior disguise to all others, the hunting party member, the disguise hierarchy is something that will become very important to Hitman level design going forward. We sneak by the target and into yet another secret passageway. This one isn't so necessary, but it's helpful to use to just avoid too many face-to-face encounters with the guards and the butler patrolling the area. It does make me wonder, why did someone install that? It just leads to the room that there is a pretty clear door to right next to this one. Whatever. The British, who knows them? Anyway, we can wait out this guard and before poisoning the whiskey cask with that cyanide we picked up earlier, and so the trap is set.
My good man. Fetch me some of our best, eh?
Very good, sir.
I do like the little cutscene it shows earlier of him ordering the whiskey, so you know what's happening. Now we just need to get out of the house and move to complete our final objective, rescue that prisoner from the stables. This is one of the earlier examples of having a side objective. Obviously, Codename 47 had the bomb, and Invitation to a Party had the briefcase. But I think in this instance, it's not at all connected to any of the targets. It's just kind of a third thing that takes place in a different location. And that's what I really think of as a side objective in a Hitman game. In this one, you can run without alerting the guards, which is a very welcome improvement. In general, I find that the AI is a lot more consistent in Contracts than it is in Silent Assassin, and the game is just less buggy in general. It's just a shame that a lot of everything about it is kind of like lame, and just doesn't really vibe with me that well. I do like some of the music, but I'm not a fan of how it's used across multiple different levels that have seemingly disparate vibes. Like, this music seems to fit some kind of like Indian level or something like that, but in this case, it fits pretty well too, just not as well. We can actually knock out a stables guard, or we can sneak around the back and flip this power switch, which causes the guards to leave because their TV no longer works, and then we can head out and grab the key from their office. Yeah, this level has atmosphere, it has tension, a great disguise hierarchy, and it's very big compared to the other Hitman levels we've seen so far. But unlike Silent Assassin, it's no less tight in how it uses that space. Often Hitman levels, especially in the previous game, can get a little too big for their own good, where there's just lots of empty space and then there's clearly one space where you're meant to do stuff.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Please, not already. Look, I'm begging you, okay? I'm a Northcutt, you understand? My father is rich. He's a very, very wealthy man. I'll pay you anything you want. You understand? Please.
Keep it down. Your father's paying me to free you.
Free me? Oh, thank God. You know, they were gonna hunt me. Like an animal. Like some beast.
You think you can escape on your own?
Oxford sprinting champion 3 years in a row. God bless you. See ya.
And on the other hand, some levels you wish were a little bigger. This one strikes the perfect balance. The methods of killing are fun, the atmosphere is top-notch. What's not to like? Well, I still find the AI sightlines to be annoying. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely an improvement, and thank God you can run without triggering them to get all alerted and whatnot. But it's still janky and buggy and incentivizes saves coming, and you still have limited saves per level. So yeah, I think that this is still kind of aged poorly, let's say, in a mechanic way, but I think the level has really made me appreciate the game more. I appreciate the concept that this is a home invasion. My favorite levels are still ones with an open social space to begin with, like a hotel or something, where you can roam freely. But, that said, this level, paired with the fact that guards are no longer so easily spooked as they were in Silent Assassin, does allow you to kind of explore a lot of it by providing disguises right out the gate with the guards that you see as your first thing. I also think, compared to my favorite level in Silent Assassin, this one has a lot more options and variations in terms of not just which place to shoot them from or whatnot, but also in the terms of how you can use the environment and other elaborate things to kill and accomplish your objectives. The variations and options of what you can do, even at this stage stage are really starting to add up and make the level excitingly complex in how it plays out. Having an objective in its own sort of separate location with its own separate hazards and threats makes it very interesting. Like, do you tackle that first, maybe? Do you go for one of the targets or the other one, etc., etc.? It's quite interesting. And thankfully, this kind of design ideology would continue into IO Interactive's magnum opus, released again only 2 years after this one, although technically Contract and Blood Money were in development concurrently, and that's maybe why Contracts looks so bad in the textures and whatnot.
Getting tired of this.
This from the ground up rework of Hitman named Blood Money has some of the most amazing levels in the franchise, not just for the time, but still to this day. And unlike the previous games, there are many contenders for the best. I just can't help but go through a bunch of them, at least quickly. A New Life is an obvious fan favorite where you need to assassinate a guy in witness protection and steal the microfilm of his wife's necklace. And you start in, again, safe social space of a neighborhood. You can achieve your objectives in all sorts of very roundabout ways. Most famously, perhaps, you can poison the donuts from this catering truck, drop them off at this inconspicuous van, and get treated to one of the best bits of dialogue in the entire franchise.
Fresh donuts. How cool is that? Full disclosure, we're actually FBI.
I must say, I love the tone that Blood Money is going for. This tongue-in-cheek sort of dark comedy of errors on behalf of the NPCs, I find it a distinct improvement and a much better fit, in my opinion, than the grimdark tone of Contract. You can get in the house, mind the phone of the target, and then call him from the van. Or you can enter as a clown. You can poison the wife's drink and steal the microfilm that way. You can be a garbage man or risk Karen's wrath as you snipe targets from a nearby tree house. I also love the little pirate flag that you can see from the house. It's almost like it's advertising an option to you, kind of urging you to explore. This game introduces the sort of trespassing mechanic that we know and love, where you don't immediately get fired upon if you trespass into some areas without the proper disguise. Instead, they will wave you away and make you go away, and the NPCs will chase you down and whatnot. You can even use something in the shed to sabotage the grill to cause an accident. You can sneak up on the target in his office and poison him with a lethal syringe. Something I kind of miss from Blood Money is how much gear you get to start with compared to World of Assassination, where you only get 2 items. Now, it's very obvious why these games are designed that way. Like in World of Assassination, the environments are a lot bigger, and it's kind of trying to make you focus on that rather than working with the tools that you got. But nonetheless, it's still quite interesting. Both games work for what they're going for. And, you know, Blood Money, you gotta love the newspapers you get afterwards showing how well or how poorly you did in the level, alongside some stories relevant and not so relevant to the plot. It just gives you a sense of realism to the world. Not that the game is super serious or grimdark like Contracts or something, but that there is a detailed, thought-out world that is kind of real to the characters in it, despite the fact that from our real-life perspective, it's all very satirical and full of lampooning. The absence of music and the pink noise as you read these newspapers really feels like Agent 47 is sitting somewhere quiet and out of the way in a hideout reading these papers about his exploits, or not. A New Life is an obvious fan favorite, but what about Curtain Call? Taking place in Paris, this dual assassination mission is one of the first and has great atmosphere.
Here is your jacket, sir. Don't you want the jacket, sir?
No, just needed something from one of the pockets. I'll pick it up later.
Great sense of place, it looks great, it feels really like a theater with the detailed textures and the layout. It has extensive backstage areas, not to mention that you can famously replace a fake prop gun with a real gun. which in addition freaks out the other target on the balcony, causing him to run downstairs, only to trip and fall in his rush. Right under a light rig that has been previously mined by especially observant players, causing the whole thing to fall on top of the target. I love this idea of chaining these sorts of environmental kills, and this accident system in Blood Money is great, even though often it is just mine a thing to make it fall down on a guy. Like, even the light rig thing is reused in multiple other levels, but still, better options or more options is, in my mind, always better, even if some of them are not as creative as perhaps they could be or would be later on in the franchise. For my Blood Money, though, there is no other level better than You Better Watch Out. It has everything I love in a Hitman level. Multiple approaches, nice social space to explore, a clear and cool disguise hierarchy, and with Hitman Blood Money's new trespassing mechanic, exploring it feels less punishing and more like the game developers actually want you to find the cool secret ways of doing things, unlike, in Silent Assassin and Contracts and all the previous games, really. Immediately as you make your way inside and upstairs, you are fed information about the level from the get-go, from the camera split-screen view to the elevator shaft above, to the staff member telling you about a VIP heart and how you could possibly get past the first area in which you'd be trespassing that you noticed right out the gate. I also really like the music. The mission is a dual assassination plus retrieving a tape. The first target is the son of a senator, Chad Bingham, who's a rock star who killed a woman or something, and the other is a pornography tycoon hosting the party who has a tape of Chad having sex with that woman and is blackmailing the senator with it. The entire world of Blood Money kind of revolves around this vice presidential campaign, I think. As you explore and recognize one of the targets in the jacuzzi that's right there, you realize that the other target is nowhere to be found on any of the floors that you can freely explore at first. This kind of space separation between the targets is very cool. For the first one, for Chad, you notice a waiter occasionally bringing him a glass of wine or something, or a champagne, then taking said empty glass back to the bar and bringing out a fresh one. In that moment, you can try and poison the glass as it sits on the bar. However, there are too many prying eyes, so a gunfight will break out. And I just want to point out, while we're here, holy shit, is the gunplay so much better in this one. And in particular, the combat music, specifically one in the Rocky Mountains levels here, is amazing. Not only is it just kind of a sick beat that fits the action, but the chorus that comes in really makes you feel like you're this legendary assassin that's fucked up. And this may very well be the end of this 47's United States Grand Tour once and for all. Especially in the context of the story cutscenes being this FBI hunt for 47, Or alternatively, it also kind of makes you feel like a harbinger of death that's just going all out, guns blazing, nobody can escape. I'm pretty sure the music is dynamic as well, ramping up with enemies present and firing, and slowing down once you're near death. Just like the other games, if you kill enough enemies fast enough, you can get a sliver of health back and live another day. Though I find this mechanic to be pretty inconsistent in this one, just like in the other games. I think it also accounts for you taking more damage as you do that, but I honestly couldn't tell you exactly how it works. For a stealthier approach, you can explore some more and you'll notice the bartender waving you over.
This'll give you the extra oomph you'll need to make the most of your time at the grotto, if you know what I mean.
It gives you aphrodisiac you can put in the drink. But let's not even get ahead of ourselves because this level is full of little side paths and nooks and crannies that you should explore. Right at the starting area, before you even get on the elevator, there's actually a small side area in which you can get to a guard that's fairly isolated. You know, get his disguise, and that lets you into the VIP area. Love the animation, by the way, and I love him having the syringe behind his back like that. It's just cool. Alternatively, you could lure or wait for someone to go on the lift and garrot them up the shaft if they have a VIP heart for a sneaky kill. Or even use one of the multiple sneaky side paths to just get up there without having any disguise at all. But before all that, you can take the staff elevator up to the staff floor and find a tempting guard that gets you even further in the black uniform, or a changing room full of them that you can clear out with a fuse box outside. And that is where one of the sneaky mountain scaling paths is also located that leads you back to one of the inner parts of the VIP area. You can also use a stairwell in the staff break room to get up to the kitchen and steal a sausage, as well as encounter a drunk Santa. And yes, of course, you can get his disguise. Also, I love his dialogue.
Why so glum? At least you haven't been reduced to playing Santa Claus in April at a pornographer's ball.
One more flight of stairs up and you're on the balcony overlooking the party area. By far one of the best things about this level is just how interconnected everything is. It's small, kind of, in like surface area terms, but it is dense with little pathways and connections. They're just unlike anything in the previous games at all. Like, this is just a whole other level of cool. It holds up to this day. Anyway, we can grab the security tape for the cameras from one of the security rooms up there. In my case, after failing to trick the guard with a coin rather miserably. Oh yeah, coin! New item to this game series, an actual functioning distraction. What a treat! The bartender can actually tell us about the Santa and his bottle of port that we can of course use to sedate him, and he also tells us where our first target is as well. The multiple ways to find out information are a great extra added to this game, which made the whole thing feel just a little easier to discover, rather than requiring like a strategy guide or walkthrough like some of the earlier games. Anyway, after we add the aphrodisiac to Chad's drink and observe him, instead of hitting a lady and making her go away like normal, they now depart to the private area. We follow. This is one way you can isolate the target from this very crowded place where everybody would see him if you shot him or poisoned his drink or something. But here's another little fun detail about this level in particular. In the corridor, we're treated to a scene of some man in an early 2000s CGI render making out. But the man leaves and the Crazy Frog music video character lookalike waves us over. If we follow, a cutscene will play and she'll whip out a knife and try to kill us. That's right. This level even has an assassin that's out to get you. After dispatching her, we can observe the girl leaving the room, followed by Chad, and follow our target down a set of stairs to a balcony where he's all alone and isolated having a smoke. Great time to strike. After disposing of the body and hoping no one notices, which annoyingly does happen sometimes regardless of if you drop him down or leave him on the balcony, I would imagine that leaving him on the balcony should be fine, but I guess someone kind of sees him sometimes. Oftentimes when I even go there and there's no one there and it still says body found, which is a little bit annoying, but nonetheless. It's time to upgrade our disguise since our Santa party guard can only take us so far. We've noticed numerous bodyguards that were isolated in good picks, and there's this one right here who patrols regularly, so might as well go for him. With his disguise, we can now enter through the waterfall for another little hidden shortcut through the door guarded by these two dudes to get up to the studio floor. There, we can use an elevator to get up to the studio floor. And as you can see in the options, in the action options screen right there, there's also the helipad floor. And yes, you can escape via the helipad. In one of the side rooms in the studio floor, there is a mixing deck and the tape we're after. I like how the mixing deck is placed right there, kind of drawing your attention to that particular area, because I do find the tapes do blend in a little bit, as well as many other types of pickups in this game. With some good timing and observation, the tape is ours, leaving us only with the pornographer himself as the target. He's well isolated on his balcony, but his dog would alert him if we walked out. I love the implementation of dogs in this game. Like, obviously, the Bellingford Manor level in Hitman Contract had the hounds. that could get released. But in this case, in this game, you can always find a sausage and spike it with sedatives, or if you're a monster, with lethal poison, and give it to the dog, and that will get rid of it because it'll just calm down and fall asleep. Alas, I went for a different approach, carefully avoiding the hound onto our scent. We maneuvered to the porn set with the graveyard? Yeah. Anyway, in the back, there's a ladder that takes us up another little hidden way to get on the railing, and you'll never guess. We can put a mine on a thing that falls down, the light rig falls down on the guy, and that's our accident kill. Yeah, it's not the most creative, but I like how much of it is just a very small aspect of this level compared to a curtain call, where the place you can put the mine is one of the central locations in the entire level. I do like how the mine, despite being fairly overpowered in terms of causing accidents, actually has a fairly limited range, forcing you to stay pretty close by. And we can leave the same way we came. Of course, we can get above via the helipad upstairs, but doing so requires us to have no items that couldn't pass through a pat down, since there are some guards up there that will do that. I tried recovering the suit, because Blood Money charges you all of $5,000 for not getting your suit back at the end of a level. And you do spend money on various upgrades throughout the mission, as well as like hush money to bring down your notoriety and whatnot. But nonetheless, I saw a guy going right there, and the visible body of the other target, and he was going to where I knocked out that guard before, so I figured screw it, let's just leave it by boat before they discover anything too sketchy going on. I think this level is just a knockout. The sheer complexity of navigating the place, and the fact that it's not overly huge or like too labyrinthine, the navigational puzzles, the vibes, and the multiple ways to kill any target, and the traversal around the level makes this easily my favorite. Is it the best in Blood Money? I think that could go to any one of the levels I mentioned and then some, like the carnival with the tons of NPCs, or even the first proper mission, the vineyard, which is amazing in its own right. I think this is the best level. So, Hitman Absolution. Let me make a confession. This is my first actual Hitman game, as in the first one I actually played. And I didn't even go out of my way to look for a Hitman game. When I looked at the descriptions of them, they never appealed to me. I remember when I was in high school, kids would discuss Blood Money around me, and they would mention it and stuff, and I would just be like, that sounds cool, but it just never really seemed like my kind of thing. Like, I was a fucking ADHD child. I did not have any fucking patience at all. I wanted my games to be pretty action-packed, and I wanted to be able to progress through them fast. Sitting around certain levels and waiting for NPCs to pass just didn't seem like my idea of fun. But I was kind of on a streak of stepping outside of my comfort zone around that time, propelled largely by PlayStation Plus, which I subscribed to at the time on my PS Truple. And that's when I got Hitman Absolution for free. And I remember playing through all of it on my PS Truple. I'll stop. And I remember loving it. I remember enjoying it a lot, and that's what made me want to go back and play some of the other games, including Silent Assassin and Codename 47 a little bit, and Contracts, and eventually also Blood Money, which I fell in love with. I totally understood all the criticisms of Absolution after the fact when I played Blood Money. I think it was a great sort of gateway drug for me because I did find the sort of action-packed nature of Hitman Absolution to be interesting, but it also introduced a lot of the stealth mechanics to me that were present in those other Hitman games, so seeking them out and then understanding what the difference was quite a journey back in the day for a teenager. But coming back to Hitman Absolution now, I've tried to replay it multiple times, but oh boy, I hate it. I don't just mean like it's not like the other Hitman games. I just don't think it's a very good game at all. It just doesn't jive with me. I find myself getting kind of frustrated and impatient. I hate how you can't get Silent Assassin a lot of levels. I hate the linear portions of the story and everything. And it's not like I hate linear games. Like, look, The Last of Us Part 2 is probably my favorite game of recent years, and I do love me Sony cinematic stuff, and this game definitely has a lot of that. And I did even like 007 First Light, which is kind of a more linear, less sandboxy version of the Hitman games. But this game, I don't know, something about it just plays badly. The motion, the movement, everything, the animations, everything feels sluggish. It feels like you're wading through molasses when you're playing this game. It's just terrible. Like, I don't know how to say this. Like, look, Hitman Absolution fans, whatever. Like, don't take me the wrong way. This is, again, very, very subjective. I just can't. Like, I literally cannot power through this game at all, even when I desperately try to force myself through it. I remember the credit song being Coma White by Marilyn Manson, which gave me a brief Marilyn Manson phase as a kid. I was young. And it just sucks. I think that even as far as linear action goes, I would rather play Hitman World of Assassination, just going guns blazing or something, than this. And as far as the sandbox levels go, well, there's no comparison. The instinct mechanic is terrible. The fact that the disguises are useless is just kind of annoying and frustrating. The story is just grimdark and weird, and I don't like the tone of it. And yeah, it's just bad. It's just not my thing at all. I don't think you could make a game that I liked less if you even tried, which is just weird to me because as a teenager, I loved it. I didn't even see what the big deal was. I saw Hitman Absolution as almost like a, obviously distinctly different from Blood Money, but a natural evolution of it to the gaming trends of its time. Whereas now I'm just like, oh man, this is just like terrible. What were they thinking? And not just the direction and design choices, but just the game itself and how it plays. I really can't emphasize enough. I don't know if something's wrong with the PC port. I might even try the PS3 version. Playing it at 60 FPS on all the highest graphics and whatnot, everything just has a lot of latency and it's just kind of like awkward and weird. And I've seen people on Reddit claim that this game looks good. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's not the worst looking game I've ever seen, but it has this shitty filter over everything that makes it all look sickly green, and I don't get it. Like, Warframe had the same thing way back, and I've recently been playing some old versions of Warframe for nostalgia. And I found that just turning that filter off makes those games look like they came out, like, not 2014 or not 2013, but like 5 years later. Instantly, the sheer amount of like color variety just makes it look so much better. I think, again, Hitman Absolution might have been trying to borrow from movies of the time, or rather movies of like about 5 years before its 2012 release date. Yeah. And speaking of 2012, so Hitman Blood Money came out in 2006, 2 years after Contracts, 2004, and then after Blood Money, there was a big break. Then it took them quite a few years to sort of modernize Hitman to what they thought the industry really wanted. I can only imagine what it must have been like to be a fan of Blood Money back then. 6 years, and this is what you get? I don't know, man. And look, it's not like I don't play games from that era or something. I play Infamous and Prototype, and I think there's still value to these games around that time. But, like, look, Uncharted 2 was around. Uncharted 3 was, I think, around. Last of Us was only a year away, and Last of Us runs at like 23 FPS, 480p on the PS3. I mean, it looks beautiful, but come on. And Hitman Absolution just plays worse than all of these games on a modern PC these days. So yeah, GTA 5 was like a year away. I just don't see... I don't know if I'm taking crazy pills or what, but it looks and plays and feels like crap. That being said, however, I feel like I've done enough crapping on it. And notably, I think Death Factory is a level that I've replayed and I remember enjoying it way back in the day. And I think it's fine. It's got some options in there. It's kind of an honorable mention for this game. I think Shaving Lenny and the level that immediately precedes it is vaguely interesting. I do think it's also kind of an honorable pick. And if I had to pick a favorite level from Absolution, which again, as I think I've mentioned probably way too many times, is a game I just do not enjoy, I guess it would be the King of Chinatown, which is very predictable because it's the one much more open sandbox level in the game. But even so, replaying it now, I just found it kind of, it's not like we're starving for Hitman content or something. If we were, then yes, I would replay this. And judging by my Steam Cloud save, it looks like I did replay it a bunch of times. I do like the introduction of challenges, and I do like the idea of Instinct generally, without the weird gameplay mechanic of it hiding your disguise. I do like the idea of point shooting. I think that's kind of neat, actually. I wouldn't want to see it return necessarily, but it's fine. And I do like the concept of this level. Guy stands right in the middle of it. There's a crowd everywhere. It's a nice tech demo as well to see how many NPCs they can fit on screen. They did that in Blood Money, but in this case, it's obviously a lot more higher fidelity and whatnot. Anyway, I usually just push this guy off and call it a day. Or you can explode him and watch the NPCs fly. Ragdoll physics, eh? Well, there's more ways, but I think that's enough on that game. However, the Hitman franchise would not become dormant, it would not fail or be put in the back burner forever, because 4 years after Absolution, Blood Money fans would be eaten with Hitman 2016, the soft reboot of the Hitman franchise and a return to form. There are 3 great levels, I think, in this game to pick from. Paris, the very first proper mission where you can pose as a fashion model down the catwalk or as a chic, a guest at an auction, poison a dude's drink, use a coin to activate his diorama, make him upset and stressed out, and make him drink, thereby making him unable to attend the catwalk to premiere his fashion collection, making one of the targets come out instead. Then you can attend the auction, outbid everyone, and isolate yourself with the other target in your office. And after you're done, you can then go ahead and drop the lights on the dude that walks out on the catwalk, who's your other target. Look, I mean, this is very rambly, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of different ways. I think the mission stories are a brilliant idea in this game. I think they're a great way to sort of guide the player into exploring the various things. I always try and do them on my first playthrough, and I'm a big fan of the elaborate environmental kills. I think that, like, doing, one thing is, like, doing anything with a gun in this game feels comparatively very lame, and I know that many people enjoy the sort of emergent chaos of a situation gone wrong, but I'm definitely not one of those people. I'm OCD as shit in these games. I always replay it over and over and over and try to get it perfect. I think, like, I only complete the level after probably reloading like a couple, like at least a dozen or so times and making sure I've explored, at least on a surface level, what it's about and picked out an option. And usually I always go for some combination of 2 of the opportunities that arise with mission stories. It's only after, on further replay attempts, that I start experimenting with ways I could, for instance, skip some parts of what the mission story would have you do, or do it in a different order or something like that, or how I can manipulate the NPC's AI to go and activate whatever environmental hazard they would meet their end at a little bit sooner or something like that. I think Paris is a great choice, but there's also Sapienza, one of the biggest maps in the entire franchise, and not just big in terms of like big empty space like Silent Assassin. This one is great because there's lots of houses that you can sneak through, there's rooftops, all sorts of entrances. Heck, there are not 1, not 2, but I think 3 or even 4 ways to enter the lab in a very roundabout way. One is through the ruins by the coastal portion of the town. One is through the like destructible wall that's in this like portion of this like mall arcade or something, and one is obviously through the mansion itself, through the cellar. One is obviously by the like side entrance in the cliff face of the mansion, with the wall with a card. It's great. I mean, look, you can become like a gardener, place an explosive golf ball on top of a basket of golf balls. You can dress as the golf instructor, sit in a chair, call the other target and like pretend to be her lover, poison her drink, and have her pass out, snap her neck. You can get her card and get yourself all to the lab. I also love how the NPCs in this level comment on if you walk out with a hazmat disguise.
Oh, hi. Is there a talking?
I know that listing the things you can do in the level doesn't necessarily equal critique, and I'm not explaining too well of why that makes the level good, but I mean, Hitman is all about options, right? So I think listing off options and elaborate and how many elaborate, interesting ways you can accomplish your objective, that kind of accounts for the positive traits of a map or of a level. For my Hitman 2016, though, I have only one pick: Hokkaido. Say no more, fam. Look, these other maps are great, but the structure and design of Hokkaido is just such a curveball. All of a sudden, your disguises matter not just in where you can go freely, but where you can go at all, thanks to the RFID chips embedded in them. No more lockpicking your way through. The two targets are great too, the Yakuza lawyer and a man receiving a heart transplant. The location is great. Super high-tech hospital/resort for the ultra-rich. It's just a great concept for a Hitman mission. Some of the highlights of this level include giving the Yakuza lawyer some smuggled cigarettes of another resident and create a gas leak to make her explode.
Enjoy.
Feed her improperly prepared fugu sushi.
If you like it. My colleague is a straight arrow. Me, I say it's good to live dangerously.
Or rescue a guy from the morgue. This is actually a recurring Easter egg. This dude, I'm sure you know of it. If you don't, go look it up. You can beat people up with a baseball bat dressed as a baseball player.
Lost it.
Those who know, you know. You could screw up the AI that runs the hospital and make the robotic surgery arms kill the patient.
You are not allowed to do that. Warning.
You can steal a list that implicates the patient in killing the surgeon's father. Dress up as a helicopter pilot who's been feeding the surgeon some drugs, lead him to the stash, and give the surgeon an overdose, which will make him accidentally flatline the patient. If you disabled life support or overloaded the defibrillator, the AI won't revive him. Or you can upload the aforementioned incriminating list to the surgeon's computer, watch him freak out, and kill the patient himself. That's probably the most by-proxy kill in this franchise so far.
Exodus, active 1973 to 1981, list and contracts. Contracts! Eric! Sodus murdered my father. The bastard I'm in there trying to save. Put a noose around my dad's neck and kicked away the chair. Huh? Killed him for money?
Commencing fluid extraction procedure.
Soda's down. To be honest, I'm not sure what to feel about this one.
Or how about simply being a yogi and pushing the lawyer off a cliff at the spa while instructing her to get closer to the edge?
Find a good spot for it.
Or take on the challenge of starting outside as a ninja with a sword. Do it all in this ninja outfit, suit only, silent assassin. Allowed to go nowhere at all in the hospital. It turns the map into almost something completely different, where instead of starting as a patient that can roam about freely in a safe social space, one of my favorite staples, you now have this completely impenetrable fortress, at least at first. Then you find that there's a microchip inside the brain of a bipolar morgue doctor known as the Collector, who has the only right-sided heart around that the one of the targets gets for the transplant. You can find the remote, trigger it to make him open the door to the transplant heart room and destroy that heart.
Soda's on the operating table, and no hope of getting a second right-sided heart in time. You have effectively killed him without laying a hand on him.
Or get up to the spot and pay homage to that Codename 47's Traditions of the Trade mission with a nice saw and a kill.
Right! Now let me out!
Yeah, Hokkaido it is, and Hokkaido is it for me for sure. Plus, for some reason, it tends to have the wackiest side missions, like the one with the spreading virus called Patient Zero.
Right this way.
47, listen. I've registered another infected patient. The virus is spreading. I've shared the data with you. 47, You're infected. You will need to find a solution for that. Suit will prevent the virus from infecting anyone around you. Mindful of collateral as always, 47.
People, you're not safe here at the moment. Please leave the area.
You see, you thought the ninja one was hard. Try getting suit only silent assassin on this one. Hell yeah. And there's that one with the rapper Eminem.
47. Your target is Slim Shady.
And portals in it.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is all of this a bit abstract?
Sapiens obviously has some good ones too.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a place you can buy hashish.
But all in all, I guess it's personal preference because both are brilliant. But I think in terms of personal preference, given a huge and very detailed and beautiful area versus one that is just a little bit tighter and smaller, I guess I prefer the tight clockwork of Hokkaido. I mean, once you learn that map, it's fairly straightforward to navigate, honestly. Like, especially at least on the main missions. Once you get some of the curveballs that the side missions and escalations throw in, then it becomes a little harder. But still, I find that this is just easily my favorite because of the sheer challenge of starting out and the power scaling you sort of do throughout of learning where everything is and learning like the little pipe in the winter garden you can slide down to get you to the staff quarters, all that sort of stuff. I think it's just brilliant, frankly. In keeping with tradition, Hitman 2 came out 2 years after the original in 2018, and there's a lot of great levels, once more, bigger, better, and frankly more openly funny this time around. But I'm not going to beat around the bush because one, in my mind, rises above the rest, and it's not even close. That's right, it's my New York.
Hey, beacon counter, what the fuck?
It's New York. Look, you can be an investment banker with a funny MS Paint Hitman drawing on your monitor. You can knock out people by moving wet floor signs. You could throw them at people. You can get hired.
Oh, there you are. Feeling better, I hope.
I feel like a new man.
Go through a job interview.
Pick any of the remaining cards that make you think of execution, please.
I'll pick this one.
Good choice. Tell me, what is the first thing you see here? Just the very first thing that comes to mind.
I see a figure in a large coat. Perspective skewed, as if I'm looking at him from the ground. He's got something in his hands.
Go on.
He's armed. Dual firearms. Large caliber pistols.
I see. What else do you see?
He's just finished a job. Perfectly executed.
And who is this man?
It's me.
Well, I have to say, that was very impressive, Mr. Thomas.
You can get fired.
Do you knit those sweaters yourself, or does your wife do that?
A man needs a hobby, Miss Savalas.
I'm pleased to inform you that you will be able to explore your hobbies in even greater detail in the near future. We're letting you go, Mr. Jackson. This may upset you, but let me assure you that eventually you will come to embrace this point in your life as an opportunity.
This is not my first termination, Miss Savalas.
Ah, somehow I'm not surprised.
Mess with the AC. Really mess with the AC. Give an internal report to a journalist looking for dirt. Mess with the Wi-Fi. Poison cocaine. You can install Acrobat Reader.
I need to access your machine. Mandatory system updates. It'll take a while, so go grab some coffee.
Move meetings, drive the CEO to drink, and poison the drink. Yeah, sorry, Miami bros. Bird indeed funny, but I just like this one more.
Let me just activate the booth privacy setting for one moment. This way nobody can see or hear anything that goes on in here.
Practical.
Isn't it?
It's not just New York and Miami, though, of course. One level that is really underrated by the community, in my mind, Haven Island.
changed my mind.
I think it has immaculate vibes and an accident-prone population.
Oh, man, that's really bad.
Server integrity compromised.
Damn it. This is costing us millions.
System administrator round of turret alive.
2 targets remaining. Good work, 47. Ludmila Vetrova has been permanently retired. Tyson Williams.
And what more could you want sometimes? I also like how the weather changes as you eliminate the targets. 3 years after 2018 and one pandemic later, Hitman 3 came out in 2021. And this is probably the toughest choice of them all because it has 2, if not 3, of my favorite levels in the entire series. One being Mendoza, the other one being Dartmoor, in which you can do this.
There's a puddle of water here. Well, never mind. Let's just get this done, shall we?
Chin up, Edward. No one wants to look at that long face.
You're such an idiot, Gregory.
I'm fine, Rebecca. Fine? You look like a nervous wreck.
Stop bickering.
Well, Mother, you certainly know how to lighten the mood.
That's all, Mr. Parsons. I have other things to attend to.
Whoa.
That's Madame Carlyle taken care of.
And the other one being Berlin. Oh my god. I so love the intro to Berlin. Nothing but uncanny silence and a distant gas station. See, when I first started playing Hitman World of Assassination, I didn't actually want to play through the campaign and the story because the tutorial put me off, so I just used the destination tab and picked whatever levels completely out of order. But this is the one that made me want to play through the story, which I now have done, and must say, it's really cool. And I love the characterization. I love the actual plot of it, this sort of evil organization of the ultra-rich trying to take over the world that I think very prescient, very of the times. Anyway, there's this nothing but uncanny silence and a high-pitched whine, a distant gas station. We have no items apart from a phone and camera. We make a call, but the number's not available. No mini-map, no instinct mode. The mysterious gas station and these vans behind it. Something's off. But we don't know that. Eventually we find a car crash, a trail leading to a dead body. We keep following the trail as the noises of the forest and distant construction resonate until...
We've been compromised. Abort and walk away now.
Who?
ICA. They tracked me. Don't know how.
It's what they do. How many?
One prime asset and a whole pack of up-and-comers. They've infiltrated the club searching for us. Christ, I think I killed one of them. Get out now before they spot you.
No. They found us once. They'll find us again. Keep your head down. We'll take care of this.
Damn, I love the musical sting and the name and the title drop of this mission. Your objective is just to eliminate the ICA agents, but you don't know how many. They're not marked on instinct. But fret not, the game gives you one for free. Instead of it being arcane and weird to figure out, that might have been potentially off-putting, it explains how the mechanic works. Stand close, and they'll reveal themselves once they talk on their radio. And eventually you can listen in on their radio from the earpiece you pick up, and the rest is up to you. The objective changes to show that you killed one, but I like how it says 1 out of question mark, because you don't know how many there are, and that's kind of the whole vibe of the mission. Each agent has even got their own little bio in the intel screen. It's neat. You can't go into the club right away, but there's a pretty easy way inside courtesy of your new best friend, Helfried Ziegler, and his allergy pills, who will gladly even give you a tour of the place. At first, you think the map can't be that large. The club from the outside doesn't actually look that big, but as you go in, you realize just how big it actually is, and how it extends several floors underground, and the sound design is immaculate. Seriously, before I spoil any more of this mission, go ahead and play it if you're at all interested. So once you make your way in, you might stand at this bar and you'll be like, wait, why is that guy an enforcer? Is he an agent? Without your targets marked, you're forced to do intel, to observe. This is Hitman at its most raw. They could be anyone, anywhere, and they're out to get you. It's a two-way game now. The crowd is your only defense. Are you the apex predator? I also like how this dude's lines change depending on whether he has or has not seen you at the bar yet. On my first go of this mission, I went to the bar later in Ms. Ziegler's store as I was trying to figure out my way around and the general geography of the map, and by the time I dropped in, he said he hasn't seen anyone, whereas on another attempt I've had, I think the one I'm using for the recording of this video, he actually said, yeah, I seen someone drop by right as I was blending in around him. So eventually you find an agent, maybe even a couple, maybe more, but how many do you think there actually are? Well, the answer is probably more than you think. Way more. See, you only need 5 to complete the mission. And on my first playthrough, I only found the 5, missing some that were really close. The more you play, the more you find options, the more you explore. Or you could use an alternate start where they're all marked right out of the gate, and that was a real shocker to me because I really didn't expect there to be that many of them. Not only do you get to pick how you dispose of your targets, but you also get to pick your targets, which is just another dimension onto the whole freedom of play and freedom of choice and playing the way you want to and experimenting with different approaches and chaining different accident kills. That's like peak Hitman, man. Absolute peak Hitman. For instance, you can knock out the food delivery guy while carefully dodging this NPC that feels like the developers put there to laugh at you, as he's the only one who can see you knock the food delivery guy out, and he's doing this funny dance, and you can cause all sorts of mischief, poisonings, electrocutions. I like drug dealer to techie to DJ pipeline myself personally, and I think it's kind of the one that it uses to introduce you to the club, and it's obviously kind of the main set piece of it all. The map is actually enormous, but it's not so much that it's confusing. I mean, on my first few runs, I couldn't quite put it together, and look, I'm a person who gets fucking lost in real life. Like, I don't know where I'm going. So, for me, these levels are really challenging to navigate around as well. Especially, I find it when you have reused assets. Like, I just think I play Skyrim without ever, like, going into a dungeon, or without really not using, like, a console command to just teleport to wherever. But the environments in these games are designed so well that I don't find it that confusing to navigate them around, at least after I've done it a couple times. It's the right kind of overwhelming at first. It is an experience, like I said. And that's partially because of the clever ways in and out of the warehouse. Now, if there is one thing I don't like about Hitman 3, and in this mission in particular, it's the fact that the shortcuts preserve over multiple modes. It kind of, in my opinion, ruins the sanctity of the level. I wish there would be an option to reset them or close them. I think it should be fairly straightforward to just add a starting alternate start option that you can toggle that just closes them all. In fact, I reckon that if you just start from the street, it should just close all those shortcuts. Like, I love showing friends and showing you all the gameplay of this, but it's very obvious that there are some doors open that shouldn't be because those are the permanent, persistent shortcuts. I like to see the stealth game levels as this, like, puzzle, and I like to do it over and over again to see if I can improve on the ways I've done it, and having these shortcuts in a way kind of means that I can never have that original puzzle back. I mean, I think the most egregious is probably just a door to enter the club. Even though, like, it just lets you skip Helfried and his allergy pill side quest, which can get a bit irritating on your second and third attempts and so on. I think the careful ways that the club warehouse is interlinked with the biker warehouse. That's right, biker warehouse. I love the way you can just spot these dudes around when you're going up the, I think the rear, like, stairwells on the sides of the club warehouse levels, and you just spot them and you're like, huh, what the hell? What are they even doing here with their, like, AKs and whatnot? They're not club goers, they're not guests, they're not guards. How do they fit into this? And then you find the biker warehouse and everything. It wasn't until my third playthrough that I found the weed grow in the biker warehouse, and it wasn't until another run I probably found the fumigator and said grow house around the corner, or found the motorcycle exit. On my first run, I, just did the, like I said, drugs to techie to DJ. Now look, don't get me wrong, Dartmoor is also incredible in its own right. You can take out the detective, take his disguise, and either solve the murder.
A great tragedy has fallen upon us, and I need a quick resolution, handled with absolute discretion.
The butler killed Zachary.
Or really investigate and solve the murder.
A thorough examination of a potential crime scene is half the job done.
Also, this joke flew over my head the first few times. I knew there was a joke there because of the intonation and the great voice acting and performance, but I wasn't sure what the joke was, and only like a couple tries later I realized it was potential crime scene. I get it. It's a joke about the environmental kills you do in these games. Anyway, you could search the crime scene and rule out that Zachary committed suicide. Then the butler gives you dossiers on the rest of the family, which all have dedicated characteristics. I think one of the most interesting things about this map is that the characters don't so much have a loop as they have a schedule that goes from start to finish, like a real-time passing through the level. They don't necessarily loop around, though they do visit the same locations a few times each time, but it's the fact that there's a certain sequence of events that is happening independently of you that makes the family and the characters in this mansion that is otherwise a fairly simple and limited location in terms of the maps you get in Hitman so alive and so interesting, damn it. So you can question the rest of the family, or you can find clues in the rooms to solve the murder. You can find hidden rooms and such, and eventually you find out the real killer and that she's planning to off your very target next. Quite convenient. You also discover all sorts of vignettes around the mansion, like the fact that Mr. Fernsby stole covered for Alexa by burning Zachary's diary, or the fact that Gregory's upset, or the younger kid snuck out with a maid last night. When you present your findings, it's a delight to see how 47 can either be honest and tell Alexa who it was, and she even asks you to kill the real assassin now after her, after you ask for the file, and she realizes who you are and what you're really after. Or you can frame the butler using the burnt diary and other circumstantial evidence alongside, just plain old lying. Or you can do some more looking around and eventually find evidence to prove to Madame Carlyle that her brother really did commit suicide, even if that's what she doesn't buy, and even if you know for a fact that she didn't. In which case, this wonderful scene plays.
I have found evidence showing that you and Zachary killed him nearly 50 years ago. I believe that was when Zachary turned recluse. Your brother recently uncovered proof that your past deeds were for nothing. A letter from Montgomery stating that he wanted you, Madame Carlyle, to take over from your father instead of himself, as you were better suited to the job. Everything would have turned out the way you wanted, without anyone dying. What broke Zachary once, now destroyed him.
And you saw this letter?
I did.
Oh, Zachary. How royally I fucked up. Mr. Whitmer, I'm sorry, I just need to gather my thoughts. Right.
I love how her dialogue, even after you ask for the case file, is completely different. She's all depressed and deflated.
Have a file on him.
Arthur Edwards, how do you... I see. Well played. For many, many years I feared what I'd see when I finally met death. And now you sit before me, and I feel only peace. You see, I believe life is a fair fight, and I lost spectacularly in every way imaginable. It is time for me to leave the pit. Oh. Before I get to that, your reward, the file you want is in the safe. A last wish from a dying woman. Get Edwards and make him suffer. So long. I need some privacy. Thank you.
Sir.
Good work, 47. That's the file on Arthur Edwards secured. Time to take care of Madame Carlyle.
Oh my god, she just offs herself. That's certainly one of the most unique silent assassin runs in the entire series. Go solve a case and you're done. One of 2 on this level, mind you, because of course you know that there's a real assassin after her. You can just load into the mission, sneak by, steal the case file, repair the greenhouse poison making equipment, wait about 40 real life minutes, and there she goes. Also, holy shit, cloud shadows. Oh, and there's a filter that makes the photo mode look like Absolution. That's a neat reference. Any minute now. Okay, any minute now. And there it goes. Wow. Yeah, Dartmoor is as a level no slouch. So is Mendoza. Berlin edges it out for me ever so slightly, but it is by only a very little bit. Both are amazing levels and probably peaks for this franchise that can never be surpassed. Though I do dare IO Interactive to absolutely go ahead and do that. So yeah, I think these are my favorite levels in all these games. I also played 007 First Light and enjoyed it. It's nothing like the Hitman games. I'd love to talk about that game sometime as well, and maybe about how it fits into the legacy of sort of James Bond games and James Bond movies, as I'm certainly something of a fan of those too. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. I know this isn't necessarily technology related, but it's retro gaming, and I had some thoughts and I wanted to get them out. And if you hated this video, let me know. If you loved this video, let me know. And love y'all. Take care.
That was dramatic.